Well, it's time now for Media Watch. Emma James is with us in the studio, taking a look at some of the stories we've been covering are being covered elsewhere and on social media as well. We've just been talking about this new citizenship law in India, which critics say is unconstitutional. It excludes Muslims on the basis of their faith. And there have been a lot of protests about this over the past few days. You've been looking at how the government has reacted to that.
Absolutely. Enormous protests, many of them at university campuses across the country, because a lot of people see this as an anti-Muslim citizenship law and they wonder how far it's going to spread. It's been going on for 5 days and it will continue, I'm sure, to be stoked by images like these of police violence. This is fast becoming an iconic image. Young women trying to protect their male friend from police officers. Now, if you're wondering what that stick is in his hand, it's actually called a lathi. It's a heavy stick made of bamboo that is then bound with iron. So you can just imagine the kind of blow that would deal. It is already being immortalised in the form of cartoons like this, and this woman tweeting the image saying that the sight of those women resisting the lathi-wielding policeman will be forever etched in her memory, and I'm sure a lot of people feeling like that today. Now, the National Herald India has spoken to 2 of those very brave young women, Aisha Rana and Ladida Sakaloon, and we do have the images to show you of just how violent and strong that attack was from the police officers. They were shielding a young man who'd actually come back to check up on them, and he was then being targeted by the officers. We've got the images of him being dragged out by the police, and then the women come to try to protect him. They said to
him with the...
It is really quite shocking, the force with which they are going after this young man.
These are students.
These are all
See how young
students
they are, yeah.
at the Jamia Millia University in Delhi, which is a Muslim-majority university, so unsurprising that there have been a lot of protests going on there, with people basically fearing for their futures. Now, these women say they escaped by the skin of their teeth, and they believe that the policemen realised they were being photographed, and that's why they actually got away with it. They talked about the fact that they were being treated as though they were not human beings deserving of any consideration. Now, the Delhi police force themselves say they have used maximum restraint and minimum force. Narendra Modi has taken to Twitter today to say this. This is the time to maintain peace, unity and brotherhood. It is my appeal to everyone to stay away from any sort of rumour-mongering and falsehoods. But it's a marked change of tone, because just yesterday he was talking about how those who are violently protesting could be easily recognised by their clothes. And of course, people taking this as a reference to Muslim religious garments and very much being taken as a racist remark. His political adversaries lining up to criticise him. This gentleman saying he's the Chief Minister of the state of Kerala, saying that Modi can't make India a Hindu nation, a Hindu Rashtra. Sonia Gandhi, who is the president of the Indian National Congress, a left-of-centre party, says that his government is the creator of violence and divisiveness, which has declared a war against its own people. There are also many big names in the film industry speaking out. This filmmaker saying it's gone too far, he can't stay silent any longer. This government is clearly fascist. This actor too saying he strongly condemns the violence that the police have shown in dealing with the students. Very even-handed though. He also talks about, he condemns too any acts of destruction of public properties. There are some who don't like these protests happening. Who started the violence first? Asked this gentleman. Police or Jamia students? Answer it. And another one saying, can you please inform this riot supporter how many cops were injured and sent to intensive care by the supposed students, he's put it in inverted commas, since all this started. The thing that is beyond debate is that this may well pose the biggest threat to Narendra Modi's premiership, because it is really uniting all of his opponents, seeing these images of crackdowns.
OK, all right, let's move on to something that's happening right here in France. We are on day 12 of the transport strikes. Lots of people struggling to get to and from work, and people are getting really tired of it all, aren't they? Yet the government has still not said it will back down. We're going to have talks on Wednesday. In the meantime, the minister in charge of these reforms has had to resign.
Yes, you couldn't really make it up, could you? It is his pension reform plan that's brought hundreds of thousands onto the streets and brought transport services grinding to a halt across the country. Jean-Paul Delevoye has had to stand down. This is the cartoonist Sanaga's cartoon take on it. Each day, a new conflict of interest, and that is his advent calendar there. Conflict of interest
what it is.
behind every door there. L'Agoraphile, which is a spoof site, news site, not a real one, says after his resignation, Jean-Paul Delevoye enjoys his well-deserved retirement. But what's really shocking about this is we know he has 13 jobs that he hadn't declared. Marianne is reporting there's a 14th job that went undeclared. Not all of them were paid, it has to be said, but this 14th one, they say, gave him €6,000 a month. That's double the national average. And that's just one of 14 positions. We don't quite know exactly how much.
He was a busy man, wasn't he?
Unbelievable. So clearly his pension is going to be booming, I'm sure, with all of that work for him. Interestingly, the strike's continuing 12th day, as you say, and it doesn't seem to be getting any better for people. Certainly lots and lots of traffic jams today, and this sign was put up over the Paris Ring Road. Sorry for the hassle. Let's fight for retirement, not so that we don't end in misery.
OK, and no let up over Christmas. People are getting a bit nervous, aren't they? Emma, thank you very much indeed. Emma James there with Media Watch. Now, time for our focus this